All right, guys, I know it's after hours, but we have another mission today. We need to figure out what are the pros and cons and the differences between term life and permanent life insurance.
Well, Brian, to another mission. You know, really, when I think about those two types of insurance, they can be very different, right? Permanent versus term. I think it'd be a good idea if you give us some context as to the characteristics of both of those.
Well, Eddie, the most common form of life insurance is probably term insurance. That's what most people have heard of. And the best way to describe term insurance is you have it for a term in your life. It could be 10 years, 15, 20 years, and then it typically goes away. Now, permanent insurance is basically just how it sounds. It's permanent. You have it for life. As long as there's some cash value within this permanent policy, it will stay alive for the rest of your life.
Now, the first type of insurance that you mentioned, Brian, was term insurance. And on face value, it seems like permanent insurance would always actually be the better option because it lasts for the rest of your life. And if the term expires, then you get no return on that investment. The insurance company just gets to keep the money. So the question I have for you is what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of using term over permanent insurance?
That's a great question. And technically, term insurance can be good for just about anybody. And the reason for that is it is the cheapest form of insurance. So you basically get more bang for your buck. Now, in exchange for that cheaper price, you get a term. And so that would be a con in this instance where eventually, if the death benefit is not paid out, then all the money that you paid into that policy is then gone. Now, you asked who this would be best for. Typically, what we see is younger couples, maybe new parents, and individuals that need, in case of death, they need to replace their income. So what we typically try to do in this case is have enough insurance that will be 20 times their income. Now, 20 times your income might sound like a big number, but it's best to at least have something to replace that loss of income. And you can be surprised at how inexpensive term insurance can be.
That makes a lot of sense, Brian. One of the things I think about, though, is if someone can afford that amount of insurance to cover 15, 20, 25, 30 times their income and cover that risk, at what point does it make more sense to use permanent insurance?
Well, that's a great position to be in where you can afford permanent insurance. Now, permanent insurance is typically a little more of a sophisticated style of life insurance. And the pros to permanent insurance are there are investments within the policy. So you can have really big gains, and in some cases you can have losses, or you can have some guarantees on return. Now, some of the cons to permanent insurance are you can lose money within the policy depending on where your money is invested. And also, you have this insurance for the rest of your life, so you will have expenses associated with that death benefit. Now, if these policies are designed correctly, then those expenses should be reducing every year over the lifetime that you have the policy.
Well, you know, Brian, I think you summed it up pretty well. The only thing that I think that I would add to those pros for the permanent insurance is those investments that you have there grow tax-free and generate a stream of tax-free income for you. That's one of the only places and one of the only insurance products that you can get that with.
Well, if you can afford it, well, then here's to tax-free retirement income.
Cheers.